The Masked Saint is a recently released movie about a pastor who lived a double life as a professional wrestler.
Oh, that was an amazing move!
The movie is inspired by the life's journey of Pastor Chris Whaley, who lives and serves right here in Central Florida.
The Faith Breaker! Leave it to the Saint! He just pulled off another miracle!
My wife and I were living in Lakeland, and I was going to the gym every day. I was in the greatest shape of my life, and I picked up the Tampa Tribune one day and saw wanted professional wrestlers. I packed a bag, drove over to Tampa, walked in, and there was the guy I watched growing up, the great Malenko. And he was a great, great guy and great teacher. And so the moment I walked into the gym, I was hooked and never got over it, and wished that I was still 30 years old. I could do it again. It was great. I loved it.
Chris continued to wrestle for 3 years while attending seminary. But when he got his first job as a youth pastor in Lake Wales, his wrestling career was down for the count.
I went to the pastor and I said, you know, I could wrestle a couple of nights a week and it would really help my family financially. And he said, absolutely not. We're not going to turn this church into a circus. And I said, okay. So later that week, you know, sitting home, I was watching wrestling, and there's a buddy of mine who's wrestling, and he's got a mask on, and the light came on, and I said, oh, that's it, I can do that. So I changed my name, my image. That's when the Masked Saint was born. I had a white mask, white trunks, white boots, white cape, and wrestled as the Saint, and nobody knew who it was. It was interesting because I would come in and I'd have bruises and black eyes and broke nose and shoulders and stuff, and everybody would say, what in the world happened to you? And I said, well, I fell down. And that was the truth, I fell down, but I had a lot of help doing it by 300-pound men, so it worked out great. You know, I enjoyed it. I couldn't wait to go from one to the other. I couldn't wait, so I had the best of both worlds there.
The Masked Saint's work was not all done in the ring.
I was traveling to an evangelism conference and stopped at a place to get something to eat, and I had 3 thugs that almost knocked me over. They made it an issue, and it was going to be an issue whether I wanted it to or not. So I had 2 options, either protect myself and take care of it, or let them do what they were going to do to me. One of them's not walking very well today, I'm sure, so it worked out. I think that God places a very strong emphasis on taking care of those who cannot take care of themselves. I didn't go looking for anything, but when I saw those people who were being mistreated, I did all I could to help. I didn't look at it as a vigilante. I looked at it just as doing what I was supposed to do as a pastor to protect my people.
Chris retired from wrestling in 1988 and moved to Seminole County, where he led First Baptist Church of Longwood for 13 years and is now on the staff at First Baptist Orlando. Chris put his life experiences down in a self-published book that caught the attention of Hollywood.
A story like this has never been told before. I don't ever recall a pastor and a wrestler. Those 2 worlds have not been together in some time, so I knew that this was going to be a great story.
Having his life story told in a book and on the big screen has provided Chris Whaley with so many more opportunities to share his story and his faith with others.
I'm not 6'5", I'm not 280 pounds. You know, at my largest size in professional wrestling, 5'11", 225 pounds, and I wrestled guys that were so much bigger than me. Wrestled The Undertaker, The Ultimate Warrior, you know, other guys that were just huge. And I think that's helped a lot of the younger people who see things that maybe they wouldn't pursue because of the challenges, that it inspires them to do that, and it inspires adults to pursue things that God has placed on their life that maybe they didn't think that they could do. You know, I am so blessed that God has given me the opportunity to be on the stage and to share what He has done in my life with others. So I'm just overwhelmed and humbled and very, very thankful for the opportunities that He gives me to share with those people.
See full episodes of One Central Florida the first Thursday of each month at 8 p.m.